Welcome to Time Travel 87 and a look at Pete Blake's cinefilm from 1973 to 79, visiting Santapod, Blackbushe and Snetterton. Pete raced two competition altereds during the 1970s, one with a VW Beetle body and the other with a Bantam body, and they were both Chevy powered. We kick off at the September 1973 meet at Santapod. Melvin Woodin in Blue Rose 2 takes on the Cuda of the Rose Brothers. Al Stevens brings out Snoopy. And that's Panic, fitted with a new unpainted Topolino body, getting a bit squirrely. Alan Bootsy Herridge comes out with Firefly. That's John Wright's Vendetta altered. And the Black Knight Fever. Kevin Pillin was driving Pete Bennett's newly imported Nova, running some strong mid-10s. Mick Gledo in Motorcycle takes on the Southern Comfort 100E. Snoopy ran with Ford V6 power, which he later swapped for a Chevy. Tony Dixon blasts past in the Money Hungry Pro Stocker. Then it's moving Mike Hutchison in the Hound Dog Slingshot. Hustler takes on Motorcycle. Then it's ear-splitting Loudon Boomer and Black Knight. As well as Firefly, Bootsy was out in the Stardust Funny Car, which had been repaired by fiberglass repairs after blowing the roof off at the July Internationals. At this meeting, Bootsy ran a best of 8:11 at 185 miles an hour. Back to Pro Stock. Dennis Stone was driving the Chevy Escort Tender Trap. Gary Goggin took the Pro Stock Eliminator. Owen Hayward was out in the STP Duster Funny Car. On now to Blackbushe 1974, as Nick Butler in Nickelodeon chases Mickey Bray's Pinball Wizard. Ed Shaver was there in the rear-engine Hustler Racing Funny Car. Dave Stone brings out T-Rat. A lack of traction at Blackbushe meant plenty of smoky runs. Top fuel time as Clive Skilton fires up Revolution 4 and in Revolution 3, new boy Malcolm Quick. The top fuel cars were push started down the strip just like they did 10 years previous at the drag festivals. Ed Shaver had his trophy-winning custom-painted Birds of Paradise Chevy Chevelle there. Gary Goggin was back out with Clunk Click. Coming down the far up road, Kevin Harvey and his rover-powered Vauxhall-bodied Altered. The Stones' Hemi Hunter and T-Rat get ready to make some smoke. The Jag-powered Stripteaser looked like this in '74, and then like this as we move on to 1975, still at Blackbushe. Liam Churchill brings out the Sting Capri Funny Car. And now a look at Pete Blake's Beetle-bodied, Chevy-powered Altered. And some shaky footage taken from the push truck. And there's Pete's mate, Mick Saunders, in the Chevy T known as the Animal. There were no barriers at Blackbushe, and spectators were kept a long way from the action as Stripteaser bounced its way down the strip. That's Rick Fielding's Imagination and Jason Smith's Fire Engine. Funny car action as Skilton shuts down Roland Pratt. Time now for some American beer. Alex Kapansky heads for home in his 47 Ford Woody. This Anglia street freak had all the 1970s accessories fitted. And this Anglia ran in street altered. Mick Saunders tests his car at Ford Airport. Pete knew the landowner well, and both Mick and Pete got to test their cars on the runways. Back now to Santa Pod. Mr. Shift had new paint and Chevy power. Woody was back out with his Ford Falcon, an impressive transporter. Jerry Andrews brings out Hemi Hunter. T-Rat had a new longer chassis. Owen Hayward brings out Hound Dog 8. Pete Blake gets ready for a blast in Scarab. And that's Phil Alson's Sneaky Glowworm. That's Danny Johnson's Harley from America. And Pete Drake's Triumph. Mike Kaysen had his Plymouth Coupe altered, complete with matching pushcar. Sue Coles had injected Chevy power in Howser Poppin'. That's the beautiful Ratcatcher slingshot of Pat Cuss. The Jag Mini 2-ton Carman came to a sad end when it was rolled at the end of the 1975 season. A bit of action from the bikes as we move on to 1976. Mick Saunders brings out the animal. Kevin Harvey was now running this Chevy-powered Bantam. Dave Page brings out Panic, complete with impressive crowd injection atop the Rat. Russ Carpenter was driving the Daimler Digger Trouble and Strife. Robin Tallis brings out Liquidator, which was the old Good Vibrations car. Driving Invader was John Morton. Melvin Woodin arrives at a wet Snetterton with Blue Rose and Wild Rose. The meeting was cancelled due to the rain, but when it stopped, Barry Sheville's in Stagecoach decided to make use of the track for some testing, and soon everyone was having a go. Ron Turner was making the most of the situation, and with mole grips on the rear brake hose was practicing his rolling burnouts, nearly losing it on one occasion. Even the bikes were having a go. Pete Corley brings out his Jag Mini Moon City Charger. Mick Saunders let his wife, Gina, have a go in the driver's seat. Back home, and Mick does some more testing at Ford Airport. Mick Saunders ran a pet shop in Brighton, next door to the Church Brothers Brighton Speed and Custom, and here he does his best impersonation of Rod Hull and Emu. That's the Hot Car magazine custom van. Back at the pod as Ken Flathead Cooper crosses the finish line. Tony Froome and the Sun team were out with the Sundowner Top Fuel Dragster. Nobby Hills and Owen Hayward were back out with the Hound Dog Funny Car. Liz and Ollie Byrne were there with the Lizard Donovan-powered top dragster. Phil Elson was back out with Sneaky Glowworm. The Jag-powered Austin Ruby of the Ison Brothers comes up to the line. Graham Hawes was running in modified with his Camaro. Dennis Priddle was there with the Avenger 2 funny car. Ron Turner brings out his 13-second Ford Pop, which he drove up to the pod. This action was taking place at the rerun of the washed out 1976 August Super Nationals, held over the weekend of the 18th and 19th of September. First round of Top Fuel saw Tony Froome come out to face Peter Crane in Stormbringer. Pete blasted away to a 665 at 194 miles an hour to put Tony on the trailer. Next up, with his lights on the wing, Ronnie Picardo and Highway Patrol against the slingshot of Ros Pryor. Ronnie took the win light with a 701 at 198 miles an hour. Plastic Fantastic time as Priddle lights them up alongside Phil Elson, who suffered gearbox problems, and Dennis soloed for the win. Tim Claxton brings out the Victim Zodiac, which was the old Rocky II of Al O'Connor. That's Brian Thomas and Paranoia. On the right, Brian Monday's Optimist and the 2-ton Carman team were back with the old Poison Ivy car. Al O'Connor in Al's Gasser was running in Middle Orchard at this meeting. Here he shows why his start line antics were so popular with the fans. Bob Hughes became the man to beat in Middle Comp with a record-breaking 10.17 in the Incredible Hulk Chevy T. Sue Coles brings out her injected Chevy tea, how's a poppin'? That's Pete Hollingsworth's Austin Ruby drag addict. Robin Tallis blasts off in the Liquidator. Jason Smith comes round in his Pontiac powered 100E. Liz Byrne brings out the Lizard to take on Hemi Hunter in Pro Comp. Malvin Wooding was running Blue Rose in Pro Stock and takes on Tony Dixon in Money Hungry, who loses with a red light. The other Pro Stock semi saw Whippy Smith through with a bye run. Norm Weldon takes on John Howlett in Junior Comp. And that's Brian Thomas in Paranoia. John Hobbs takes out Hank Vink in Top Bike. Middle Comp second round, and Al O'Connor takes out Sue Coles with another wild ride. Dave Page comes down the Far Road ahead of Vic Hammond for the first Senior Comp semi. Panic took it with a 9.45 to a 10.28 for Mr. Big. Next semi, Dick Sharp against Barry Shebills. Unfortunately, Stagecoach broke, handing the win to Dorset Horn. Steve Johnson warms the tyres of his Lotus. And that's Black Magic. Top Fuel final, and it's Ronnie Picardo against Peter Crane. Pete Storm to a 6.37 at 201 to Ronnie's losing 7.03. Next up, Funny Car final, as Roy Phelps directs Bootsy into the water. In the other lane, Dennis Priddle. Unfortunately, Bootsy staged on the front part of the body, causing a red light and a few swear words as Dennis blasted to a 7.05 win. Tony Froome and Ros Pryor come out for a run-off for third spot. Ros lost far, but Tony recorded his quickest yet, a 7:40 at 184 miles an hour. Senior altered win went to Panic with a 9:46 to a 10:19 for the Horn. Despite a hole shot from the far engine, the middle comp eliminator went to Bob Hughes in the Incredible Hulk. (1977) saw a new Chevy altered for Pete Blake. He built his own chassis with help from Mick Saunders, and a glass bantam body was used. Pete does some pre-season testing at Ford Airport. Back to the pod for some altered action. Pete Smith was now running a Reliant bodied Poison Ivy altered with Jag Power and Duckham's backing. In the other lane is Graham Peake's Syndicate. Reg Hazelton brings out his Chevy T alongside Pete Hollingsworth's Drag Addict. Robert Hughes was back out in the Incredible Hulk, and in the near lane, Tony Preston's Reality. Jason Smith brings out the fire engine. Over to Blackbushe now, with Mick Saunders and the Animal. That's Alan Humphrey's Stars and Stripes Pop. Panic blasts down the Blackbushe Blacktop. And that's John Gibbons' Alchemist, the ex-Tudor Rose. The Surrey Street Rodders always organised a good custom show at Blackbushe, including a cruise up the street during lunch. Ron Arkinstall warms the tyres in the 19th nervous breakdown Corvette. Having blown the body off, Keith Potter ran the Devil as a dragster alongside Ian Fraser as a Conrail. Tony Merry takes on Reg Hazelton. Then Ron Arkinstall takes on Dennis Wheatley. That's John Whitmore in the Leyland Dragonfly. A pair of Jag Tees as Tim Claxton takes on Brian Munday. Then it's Reg Hazelton against Sue Coles. Things get hotter and heavier as we move on to senior comp, and it's the rat-powered Panic alongside the Hemi-powered Mr. Big. Russ Carpenter takes on Ian Fraser. Back to Santa Pod for the 1977 Super Nationals, and it's Stormbringer in red. The Funnies and the Fuelers ran together, and here Ros Pryor just beats Dave Stone. Pete Crane wins when Hemi Hunter blows at mid-track. Russ Carpenter was back out in senior dragster. Owen Hayward beats Tony Froome's rear engine funny car. That's Chris Pretty in the ex-Optimist Jag T. Pete Blake gets fired up in Sabbath. Pat Cuss was running in Pro Comp with his rear engine Ratcatcher. Mickey Naylor blasts past in Medicine Man. Pete Crane beat Ronnie Picardo in the first semi of the Fueler and Funny Car Eliminator. There was drama in the next matchup when Owen Hayward lost control of the Hound Dog Funny Car, narrowly missing Ros Pryor. Owen emerged battered, but with no serious injuries. On to 1978, as Reg Hazelton drops the laundry in the new Pro Comp Topolino Thunderbird. Russ Carpenter ahead of Tender Trap. Panic was now running in Pro Comp with Wolf Race sponsorship. Pete Blake's Sabbath had received a few modifications for 1978. Dave Lee Travis burns out in Top Fuel alongside Mickey Naylor. After the Hound Dog crash, Nobby was running this new funny car with Owen back in the driver's seat. Liquidator was back out, here taking on Dave Tucker and the Vandal. Chris Pretty brings out Pretty Thing. And that's Sue Coles in a revamped How's a Poppin'. Pete Whiteley warms up the slick on his Triumph. Ian Messenger brings out the mighty Pegasus Double Norton. John Hobbs does a rolling burnout on the Hobbit. Keith Potter now had a new body on the Devil. Then it's Russ Carpenter and John Whitmore. Liz Byrne brings out the Lizard to take on Pat Cuss in Pro Comp. Then it's Jim Reed and Reg Hazelton. Pete Blake now had a new paint job on the Sabbath. That's Graham Hoare's Pro Comp funny car. And John Tebbett in the Chrysler T Moonlight Bandit. The Blood, Sweat and Tears jag-powered T-altered. On to 1979 and a look at the beautiful Bifrost Corvette Pro Comp flopper of Martin Hopp. Pete Blake and team were back out with Sabbath. That's Born Ardene's injected Vega. Back to Blackbushe now, as Pete blasts off in Sabbath. That's the Pat Cuss built Datsun powered rail. Steve Johnson comes out in the Cosworth powered Motor Mouse. Sue Coles was back out in How's a Poppin'. And that's George Davey in Pub Crawler. And Rick Fielding's Imagination. Sylvia Hauser brings out her C Production Challenger. Sam Connell in the Red Devil Camaro. Malcolm Ollie brings out his blowtorch. Ollie Byrne brings out the Vega funny car to face his wife Liz in her dragster. Then it's Panic against Thunderbird. Time for some nitro, as Dennis Priddle brings out the John Wolfe Racing Monza alongside the Top Fuel dragster of Trevor Young. Photographer Mike Collins gets down for a shot. Nick Butler was there with Revenge. That's the Vandal, Jag T. And Steve Young's Autocat, Lotus Topolino. And that's Clive Dawes, Apollo, Jag Pop. Back to the pod for the September World Series. Funny Car round 1 and Anders Hasselstrom beats Hayes From. Then Gene Snow shuts down Alan Herridge. Another American goes through as Raymond Beadle beats Priddle. Then it's Owen Hayward ahead of Ronnie Picardo. Finally, a look at Svante Eriksson's Supercomp winning Hemi-powered Jeep from Sweden.